It's a shocking scene, a pharmacy robbery gone wrong. And it all happens on Valentine's Day, giving new meaning to defending the one you love.
The one thing motivating a customer to take matters into his own hands.
It's just after 12:30 p.m. in Bradenton, Florida, when a man walks into a pharmacy hiding under a hoodie with a rag over his face. He doesn't seem to care that a customer is already talking to the pharmacist behind the counter.
He's standing there and starts to commit a robbery of the pharmacy.
Then, the masked robber makes a brazen move, leaping right onto the counter, demanding drugs.
This guy jumps up on the counter, starts making an furtive movement towards his waistband.
But what this robber doesn't realize is that this other customer is the pharmacist's boyfriend, who happens to be a Florida State boxing champion. And he's not about to let any danger come to his girlfriend. It turns out that this customer is 25-year-old David West, and he's at the pharmacy visiting his girlfriend, Heather Moran.
We live right down the road from her work, and it's Valentine's Day, so of course I was like, I'll bring her food.
He came in and asked me what I wanted to have for lunch. And then right as I was about to answer him, the guy came right up behind and got on the counter.
It's scary. In just a matter of seconds, a romantic visit has turned into a terrifying situation. When the robber demands drugs, neither Heather or David can believe what's unfolding right in front of them.
At first, I thought it was a joke. The guy was like, no, this isn't a joke. Give me all your effing oxycodone. He reached down into his pocket and kind of like made the shape of a gun.
And that's when David takes action.
I don't think he saw me, but right when I saw him try to reach into his pants, like he was gonna grab a gun or a knife, I knew I had to react. Stood up and I went at him.
David said something like, hey man, you don't want to do this. David didn't want to fight, he didn't want to hurt the guy, but he wanted to stop the guy from coming at me.
David lurches forcefully at the robber.
I didn't jump on him because I didn't know if he had a weapon. So I was gonna try to grab him, subdue him, first and foremost.
As the two men wrestle, banging into pharmacy displays, the robber's shirt is pulled right off his back.
I had no other choice. I started throwing punches. It was pure instinct. There's no way in hell I'm gonna let him get my girl.
This boyfriend, he just takes action and starts to fight with him and takes him to the ground, which is super dangerous. He really doesn't know if this guy's armed or not.
But this boxer isn't messing around. His punches are fast and furious.
It took like 4 of them, and he was unconscious.
I kind of felt sorry for the guy.
As Heather dials 911, David keeps the knocked out robber pinned to the ground.
When he came back to, that's when I had to put him in full mount, holding his hands down.
The would-be robber is dazed, and both he and the pharmacy are a mess, as if a full-fledged, hardcore boxing fight has just gone down.
There was so much blood on the ground. We later found out that he had a ruptured eardrum, a broken nose, broken facial bones.
For Heather, his actions are touching, but not surprising.
David's my hero. Very, very brave. So proud of him. I didn't have any doubt that David was gonna protect me. He's fearless. David's fearless, and he has the best heart.
This boxer may pack one powerful punch, but his heart takes over when the robber comes to. What he says is unbelievable.
This guy just tried to rob a store, and this man's crying to me, begging for me to let him go. He's like, oh crap, I might never see my daughter again. I felt bad, I felt extremely bad.
Still, David knows he can't just let the robber go. So before police arrive and arrest him, he offers some advice.
I told him this is gonna change his life. I said, this is your turning point. Looked right at the guy and I said, you know what? I feel like he just needs help.
Over the next 4 years, David often wonders if his unsolicited advice sank in. As it turns out, it meant more than he ever imagined.
The state of life that I'm in today is due to the time I spent in jail, and I would have died. The irrational lifestyle I was living at that time, I know I would have died.
Believe it or not, this is the same man who jumped onto the counter in that hoodie and is seen in this mugshot. Rob, who asked us to use only his first name to protect his family, was charged with attempted robbery.
I did 13 months in incarceration, but honestly, I'm grateful.
The day he walked into that pharmacy, Rob says he was in a dangerous downward spiral of addiction.
I was 26, almost 27 years old. I'd never had a speeding ticket. I'd never been in trouble. I had no criminal record. I was an air conditioning technician. I wasn't a bad guy, but I'd say about 6 months before the incident happened, my dad was ran over by a car. I just fell into a reckless streak, and all of a sudden, I don't know, I woke up one day and I was an addict.
And on February 14th, 2016, after his fiancée left him, taking their newborn with her, things hit rock bottom.
This was a Sunday, and Friday I had gotten fired from my job. So no money, and nobody wanted me around. In a 6-month period, I went from having my bills paid, a nice house, 2 nice vehicles, and 401k. So I wake up that morning. It's Valentine's Day. It's my dad's birthday. I'm living in my car. It's all, a chain reaction.
When he walked into the pharmacy, Rob says he didn't really have a plan, and he didn't actually have a weapon. He was just faking it in a desperate attempt to get some drugs he could use and sell.
I owed my drug dealer $1,500. I figured if I went and did that, I could have enough to go give him what I owed him and go crawl in a hole somewhere.
The fight with David left Rob with a 6-inch scar on his forehead and a ruptured eardrum. But he says even if he was out of it, he was never actually knocked unconscious.
He did beat me up, but I didn't get knocked out. All right, I had enough pain medicine and enough opiates in me that you couldn't knock me out.
Now, Rob is married to the same woman who left him right before the pharmacy incident, and they have 2 young children. He also owns his own business. His message to David?
Sorry I tried to rob your girlfriend on Valentine's Day. I mean, thanks for splitting my head open and rupturing my eardrum, But honestly, I'm grateful. I mean, I really am. It is, it's one of the best things that ever happened to me.
I'm happy, He's doing good, and I'm really glad. And I would say I told you so, because the last time I saw him, he was begging for me to let him go and that it was going to be the end of his life. And I was telling him, no, it's not. It's going to be a turning point in your life.
Rob credits David, a rigorous prison reform program, and his faith for making that turning point a reality.
It's been a hard road. Replaying that day, there's so many things that I have today that I couldn't imagine back then that I'm just blessed with by God.
And for very different reasons, Valentine's Day 2016 is one the women in both Rob and David's lives will never forget.
It was embarrassing for her. It was rough for her. I mean, she stood by me, and it was hard for her. Anything I do from here on out on any Valentine's Day, it doesn't matter, always going to be a better Valentine's Day.
I'm the luckiest woman in the world. I even told David, I said, you don't have to ever get me anything for Valentine's Day ever again. He pretty much earned the get out of Valentine's Day free card.